You know, the book of Revelation is filled with some pretty wild imagery, flashes of lightning, peals of thunder, and right in the middle of it all, we find one of its biggest mysteries, the 24 elders. I mean, who are these crowned figures sitting around God's throne? So today, we're going to open up the case file on the celestial puzzle and see what clues we can dig up. So here's the scene John paints for us. It says, surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. Wow. I mean, that's a really powerful and specific vision, right? You've got 24 thrones, 24 elders, white robes, golden crowns. They're right there at the center of the action in this heavenly court, watching and even taking part in everything that's unfolding.
Which brings us to the big question. Who are they? Are they angels? Are they humans? And look, this isn't just a fun piece of biblical trivia. Figuring out their identity actually helps us understand the very nature of heaven. You know, who gets to be there, who participates in what's going on. So let's start digging into the evidence. Okay, first up, we've got case file number 1. This is the theory that these elders are actually a high order of angelic beings. And honestly, the evidence for this is pretty compelling. And it all kicks off with a major question of timing.
So here's the deal. If you look at the timeline in Revelation, the resurrection of the saints, human believers, doesn't happen until the 7th trumpet sounds. But John's vision of these elders, that happens way back in chapter 4, long before that trumpet. So if they can't be resurrected humans yet, well, the logical conclusion is they have to be some other kind of being, right? And that points straight to angels.
And the circumstantial evidence, it's pretty strong too. I mean, think about it. The title elder. We usually think of that as a human thing, but what if it's an angelic rank, kind of like cherub or seraph? And they're holding harps and bowls of incense, stuff we see other angels with. Plus, they're literally surrounded by countless other angels. And maybe the biggest clue of all, they act like angels.
Here's a perfect example. At one point, John is super distraught, right? And one of the elders steps forward and says to him, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has triumphed." He explains what's happening. And if you think back, that's exactly the kind of thing the angel Gabriel did for the prophet Daniel, showing up to give comfort and explain what's going on. So the case for them being angels seems pretty solid, doesn't it? You've got the timing, their actions, the company they keep. It's all pointing in one direction. But there's one tiny little detail that throws a massive wrench in this whole theory. And it's sitting right there on their heads. And that leads us right into case file number 2, the theory that these elders aren't angels at all. Nope. This theory says they are glorified, resurrected human beings. We're talking about the saints who have overcome and won through their faith. Now, this side of the argument looks at the evidence completely differently. For starters, they point out that the term elder is used all over the New Testament, and it always refers to human leaders in the church. It's a human job. And as for the timing problem, well, the argument is that maybe John's vision isn't in perfect chronological order. Maybe he's getting a sneak peek into the future, a reality where the saints are already glorified. But the real knockout punch for this theory, it all comes back to the crown. Okay, this right here is the crucial point, so lean in. The specific Greek word used for crown here is stephanos. Now, this isn't a royal crown like a king would wear. Think of it more like a victor's crown, the laurel wreath they've give to an athlete who won in the ancient games. It's a prize you earned through struggle, through competition, through overcoming something difficult. And here's the thing. The Bible specifically promises this Stephanos crown to human believers, to people who endure trials and stay faithful. Angels, well, they don't do that. They don't have to overcome suffering and persecution in the same way. So this crown, it's a uniquely human reward for a uniquely human journey. And for a lot of people, that's it. Case closed. This is the definitive piece of evidence.
So what about that whole explainer role they have? Well, yeah, angels totally explain visions. We've seen that. But the role of teaching and guiding, that's like the primary job description for a human elder in the church. So while this piece of evidence could fit either theory, you have to admit it fits the human theory just a little bit better.
Now, before we wrap this up, there is one other theory mentioned in the source material, but it's one that gets dismissed almost immediately. Yeah, this is the idea that the elders are some kind of pre-Adamic race, people created before Adam. The source material we're looking at just calls this view absurd. It says there's basically zero scriptural or theological basis for it, and it kind of undermines the whole point of Adam in the first place. So, yeah, we're going to set that one aside too.
So, where does that leave us? After looking at the two main theories, where are we in this investigation? We've basically got two really strong cases that seem to completely cancel each other out. I mean, it's a total deadlock. On one hand, the timing, when they show up, screams angels. But on the other hand, their crowns, that Stephanos Victor's crown, points exclusively to humans who have overcome. It feels like whatever you choose, there's a major piece of evidence working against you. But, maybe that's the whole point. Maybe we're not supposed to figure this out like a math problem. Perhaps the vision isn't a literal headcount of heaven, forcing us to pick a side, angel or human. What if the 24 elders represent something bigger, the ultimate goal for all of God's creation, angelic and human alike, which is to be right there, near the throne, dressed in white, and spending all of eternity just worshiping the one who is worthy of it all? What if it's not about who they are, but what they represent? What do you think?